All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, there were plenty of people who felt that Georgia linebacker Nakobe Dean had what it took to be a first round pick in this year's NFL draft. But unfortunately for Dean, he had to wait until the midway point of round three to hear his name called. The Philadelphia Eagles took Dean with the 83rd overall pick last night, and they should get themselves a motivated player that will be looking to prove his doubters wrong. Now, the skeptics wanted to point to Dean's smaller stature for a middle linebacker. He's 5'11 and 229 pounds. They want to talk about the medical history, but the bottom line is he really didn't miss that much time due to injuries in college, if any. But the bottom line is Dean can play. And you're talking about a very highly decorated linebacker for the national champions at Georgia. And you talk about that record setting defense that the Dogs had this past college football season. Dean to me was the nucleus of that. He was the guy in the middle and he can run sideline to sideline. He makes the plays, he can tackle, and he's very instinctive. And you think about it, people, always want to like, some skeptics, they always want to harp on, you know, a person's smaller stature. But you have to factor in the intangibles. Dean is a leader, Dean is a motivator, and Dean knows how to play ball. And when you think about the middle linebacker position, Mike Singletary, Sam Mills, and of course, London Fletcher, all of these guys were under 6 feet. And they went out there and made a huge impact for their respective teams. Sam Mills is in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, as is Mike Singletary. And for some people, to this day, they will say that Mike Singletary is one of the better middle linebackers to have ever played in the National Football League. And then, of course, London Fletcher was a very stout middle linebacker in his days with the St. Louis Rams, with the Buffalo Bills, and of course with Washington. So I look at this right here, and it's just an excuse for people. But I think as far as the skeptics go, but I think this could potentially motivate Nakobe Dean to have a bigger impact than he already was going to have uh, in the NFL. And of course, now he gets things started with the Philadelphia Eagles. And I think for the Eagles, they got themselves a steal here in the third round. And for Dean, he's going to be able to play with one of his college teammates. We saw Philly draft Jordan Davis with the 13th overall pick on Thursday night in the first round of the draft. And of course, that big fella at defensive tackle really paved the way for Dean in college at Georgia. And I think we're going to get some more of the same from this duo from Athens here in the NFL. Now, looking at the quarterbacks, and I mean, we only saw Kenny Pickett from Pitt go in the first round as he was taken by the Steelers. And honestly, Pickett was the only quarterback taken in the first two rounds of this draft. But then, things heated up in the third round. We saw Desmond Ritter go to the Atlanta Falcons, Malik Willis go to the Tennessee Titans, and Matt Corral go to the Carolina Panthers. And honestly, none of that really surprises me. I felt like Pickett or Willis might be the only quarterback taken in round number one. And I think, a lot of people like myself were leaning towards Pickett. And then this is to me, I thought where all of these quarterbacks were going to be slotted because, a lot of these quarterbacks, they're projects. And, there's no such quote unquote sure thing. And it really never is a sure thing in the draft. But, more than usual in usual years, when it comes to the draft. There's a lot of question marks around these quarterbacks. I look at Desmond Ritter going to Atlanta. Obviously, he's not going to be a starter right away because due to the fact that the Falcons have Marcus Mariota. He can learn from Mariota, and he's going to be a project. Is he going to be a starter in the NFL? I'm not sure. You think about Malik Willis going to the Titans, and of course, he has the athleticism, the arm strength, but he still is a project. And of course, the Titans right now have Ryan Tannehill at quarterback, and then of course Matt Corral going to the Carolina Panthers. This to me is the most interesting out of all of them due to the fact that I'm not sure if Matt Rule is going to be the head coach of the Carolina Panthers next season, which means that Matt Corral could be in limbo. And of course, Corral has the heart and the determination, but the way that he plays and the physicality that he plays with, it's very difficult for him to stay on the football field. And of course, that's going to be tougher in the NFL due to the fact that the defenders are bigger, faster, stronger, and smarter, and they hit harder than they do in college. So it's going to be interesting to see how it works out for all three of these guys. But again, I'm looking into Kobe Dean, and at least through the first three rounds, I feel like he is the steal of the draft so far. So let's see how the draft ends today with rounds 4 through 7. Of course, compensatory picks, will be at the end of each of these respective rounds today, and we're going to get things kicked off with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who got that pick with the trade from the Jacksonville Jaguars. So they'll be kicking off round number 4 in just a little bit. But with that said, I think the Eagles got a steal. I think the Kobe Dean is going to fit in to what they do defensively, and I think he has the potential to make an impact for the Birds from day one. Typically, with guys like that, they come into the league with a chip on their shoulder because they saw that so many teams passed on them, and of course, that frustration builds up, and they just use it to as motivation. So let's see if Dean falls into that category as well. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take the time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. You can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I'm signing off, saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.